What if the thing we thought we wanted the most, passion, heat, sex, isn't the thing that makes us feel loved anymore? In episode 11 of And Just Like That, titled Better Than Sex, that very idea is turned inside out. The title teases something steamy, something wild, but what we get instead is something far more raw. The desire to be understood, not just touched. This episode dares to ask a bold question. Is there anything better than sex? And the answers may surprise you. Asterisk better than sex. It's the kind of phrase that immediately grabs your attention. But in true Sex and the City style, the meaning is deeper than it seems. This episode isn't about wild nights or flings with strangers. It's about emotional closeness, vulnerability, and what happens when people start to value connection more than chemistry. Each woman in the show is asking herself the same question in different ways. What really satisfies me now? Carrie, who built her life around love, sex, and clever observations on dating, finds herself in unfamiliar territory. She's not chasing a man. She's not chasing excitement. Instead, she's chasing peace, a quiet comfort that doesn't come with fireworks but feels just as powerful. This episode is her journey into that realization. It's not that sex is no longer important, it's that being seen, truly seen, might finally matter more. For Charlotte, the theme takes a different turn. She's always believed in the fantasy, true love, great sex, beautiful family. But when her teenage daughter throws a challenge her way, Charlotte must face the fact that times have changed. What was once considered taboo or too much information is now just part of a normal conversation for teens today. The moment is awkward, yes, but also powerful. Charlotte realizes that being a good mother now means talking about hard things, even things that once embarrassed her. Her version of better than sex? Seeing her daughter trust her enough to ask, Miranda's storyline takes the theme into even darker, more emotional places. After her breakup, she tries to pretend she's okay. But the truth is she's not. Sex is easy to get, but closeness? That's rare. When she watches Che on a successful comedy tour, she doesn't just feel left behind, she feels invisible. She realizes how much she gave, how much she tried to change herself, and how little it mattered in the end. Miranda doesn't want another night of sex. She wants someone to sit with her in silence and not leave when it gets hard. That, to her, would be better than any physical act. Seema, on the other hand, is still balancing independence and desire. She's strong, fierce, and used to being in control. But even she is starting to wonder if her freedom is worth the loneliness she feels. When she meets someone new who challenges her, not just in bed, but in conversation, it shakes her. She doesn't fall easily, but for the first time in a long while, she lets her guard down. Not because of how good the man is in bed, but because of how seen he makes her feel. For Seema, the answer to the title's question is clear. Being respected, truly respected, is better than sex. This episode's theme is universal and painfully relatable. As people grow older, wiser, and more emotionally aware, the definition of intimacy changes. It's no longer about just the body. It's about the mind, the heart, and the courage to say, I need more than this. And just like that has always been about evolution. This time, it's not just fashion or friendships that are evolving, it's desire itself. Every conversation, every silence, every pause in this episode is loaded with emotion. You can feel the weight of unspoken thoughts. You can see it in the way the characters look at each other, unsure whether to say what they feel or keep pretending. Better Than Sex isn't loud or flashy. It's slow, thoughtful, and incredibly raw. That's what makes it so unforgettable. Each woman in And Just Like That episode 3 by 11 brings her own storm of emotions, secrets, and decisions that define the theme better than sex. Let's dive deep into each character and how this episode quietly cracks them open. Carrie Bradshaw is changing, and for the first time in her life, she's okay with stillness. She's not running from date to date or writing about sex with sharp, cheeky lines. Instead, she's looking at her past, really looking and realizing that what used to thrill her now only tires her. In this episode, she spends an entire evening with someone new, but they don't sleep together. They just talk for hours. And for Carrie, that's more electric than any one-night stand. There's a beautiful moment where she removes her heels. Not for a kiss, not for bed, but because she's finally comfortable. That single act shows us everything we need to know. She's finally choosing ease over performance. And when she later writes the line, "Maybe quiet is the new sexy," we realize this might be one of Carrie's most powerful transformations. Charlotte York, meanwhile, is dealing with the chaos of motherhood in the digital age. When she discovers her daughter Lily has been secretly podcasting about dating and sex, Charlotte panics. She's always believed in sheltering her girls from the messy parts of life, but this episode forces her to face reality. The clash between Charlotte's old-world values and her daughter's open expression is uncomfortable but necessary. There's a raw, emotional scene where Lily says, "You told me to be confident, but only in ways that make you feel safe." It hits hard. And Charlotte doesn't fight back. She listens. That moment, that surrender, that acceptance is her version of something better than sex. Emotional honesty with her daughter, Miranda Hobbs, spends most of the episode pretending she's too busy to care. She throws herself into work, into organizing, into anything that will keep her from sitting still. But there's a powerful moment halfway through the episode. She watches Che being interviewed on a late-night show, smiling, laughing, thriving. And Miranda just breaks, no shouting, no tears, just a quiet crumble in the kitchen while washing a dish. It's in that silence that we see her pain. Later, Brady, her son, unexpectedly hugs her and says nothing. And it's that hug, simple, wordless, that gives Miranda a moment of peace. She doesn't want revenge or even closure. She just wants someone to be there. That one hug means more than any romantic moment ever could. Seema Patel, the fiercely independent and always glamorous real estate queen, continues to battle with loneliness she refuses to admit. She's still dating, still meeting men, but there's no depth. That changes when she attends a dinner party and meets a man who sees through her bravado. He calls her out, gently, for using sarcasm to hide her fears. At first, she brushes him off, but later, when she catches herself rehearsing texts before sending them, she realizes he got under her skin. Her better-than-sex moment isn't the kiss they eventually share. It's the moment she allows herself to be uncertain. Vulnerability is new to her, scary, but thrilling in its own way. The real twist? She doesn't run from it. She stays in the moment, and for Seema, that's everything. Lisa Todd Wexley, LTW, takes a more subtle path this episode. After her recent miscarriage, she's been holding a strong face for the world. But inside, she's struggling to find meaning. She goes to a gallery opening alone, surrounded by beautiful things and fake conversations. But she doesn't leave. She stands there, glass of wine in hand, and lets herself be numb. And then Herbert arrives, not with grand gestures, but with quiet support. No speeches, no drama. Just him standing beside her, letting her lean against his shoulder. In that moment, Lisa realizes that sometimes love isn't loud. It's still, like a deep breath after a storm. The camera doesn't linger, but the impact is lasting. Each woman's story in this episode isn't about sex. It's about what stays after the passion fades, the late-night talks, the emotional safety, the quiet companionship. Better than sex isn't about what happens between the sheets. It's about what happens after you've told someone your darkest truth and they still stay. That's what makes this episode not only memorable but deeply human. Just when the episode starts to feel soft, reflective, and calm. And just like that, episode 3 by 11 drops emotional landmines that flip everything upside down. The tension doesn't come from screaming matches or public disasters. It comes from words left unsaid for too long. Sudden honesty and the fear of being seen too clearly. The confrontations in this episode are quieter than usual, but they hurt more because they're real. The biggest shock comes from Carrie, and not because she's dating someone new, but because she rejects someone from her past. Near the end of the episode, Aidan unexpectedly reaches out. Not with pressure or promises, but with a simple question: are we still something? And for the first time, Carrie doesn't romanticize the moment. She doesn't fall into old Patterns, she pauses deeply, painfully, and replies, I think we were something, but now I'm something else. It's not dramatic, but it's devastating. It's the moment Carrie fully steps out of the past and refuses to shrink herself for comfort. The silence after her word says everything. No tears, just clarity. The confrontation isn't with Aidan, it's with herself. And she chooses. Miranda, too, faces a confrontation, but hers is internal. All season, she's been trying to balance regret with independence. But in this episode, she has an uncomfortable run-in with Che at a mutual friend's event. What starts as awkward small talk soon turns into a passive-aggressive dance of blame and disappointment. Che makes a cutting joke, and Miranda fires. Back with unexpected honesty. I gave up everything to make you happy. And now I'm not even sure who I am without the noise. The room goes quiet. Che, caught off guard, doesn't reply. And Miranda doesn't wait for an apology. She walks away, not with anger, but with peace. That one confrontation lets her finally let go. Not just of Che, but of the guilt she's carried since the breakup. Then comes Charlotte's turning point, and it's both funny and heartbreaking. Lily uploads an episode of her podcast titled Sex is Power, which includes a story that obviously references Charlotte's past, her youth, her mistakes, her confessions. It goes viral among the school parents. Charlotte is humiliated. But instead of lashing out, she sits Lily down and calmly says, You don't know the full story because I never told you. But maybe it's time you heard it from me. What follows is one of the rawest mother-daughter conversations in the series. Charlotte opens up about her fears, her past relationships, and why she wanted to protect her kids from the pain she once felt. The confrontation becomes a bridge. Lily realizes that her mother isn't just a polished, perfect woman. She's a survivor, just like her. That new understanding becomes the beginning of a deeper bond. Seema, meanwhile, faces a challenge she didn't expect: trust. The man she's starting to open up to turns out to be friends with one of her past flings. At first, she thinks it's harmless. But then he jokes about her reputation and something inside her snaps. In a tense, candle-lit dinner scene, she drops her wine glass and says, If you're here because of some story someone else told you about me, then you can leave. I've earned every scar I have, and I don't need a man to admire them from a safe distance. It's bold, fierce, but there's a tremble in her voice. She's not just defending herself, she's testing him. Will he stay after seeing her pain? The twist, he does, quietly, without ego. That moment, not the kiss that follows, but the respect, becomes a turning point for Seema. Lastly, Todd Wexley has a silent but powerful confrontation with grief. She visits a friend's newborn baby, and everyone around her is full of joy. But Lisa stands there smiling on the outside, frozen on the inside. When she goes home, she unpacks a baby onesie she had bought before the miscarriage. She doesn't cry. She doesn't scream. She simply folds it neatly and places it in a memory box. Then she turns off the lights and sits in silence. That quiet confrontation with loss is heartbreaking. And yet it gives her strength. The next morning, she shows up to a charity event in bold red, a symbol that she's not broken, just changed. That silent transformation is one of the most powerful scenes of the episode. These confrontations don't explode. They unfold like slow burns, crawling under the skin. They're about characters seeing the truth about themselves and choosing to live with it. That's what makes this episode so sharp. The biggest twists aren't sudden. They're slow. Emotional shifts that leave lasting marks. No character leaves this episode the same. And for us as viewers, it's impossible not to feel change too. Asterisk, and just like that episode 3/11, titled Better Than Sex, isn't just emotional in words, it's a visual journey packed with soft, deliberate symbolism. Every room, color, silence, and background sound tells its own quiet story. In this episode, the direction leans into emotional imagery, giving us visual metaphors that say what the characters often can't. The power of this episode lies not in what's spoken, but in what's seen or left unseen. One of the most powerful visual moments comes from Carrie. Early in the episode, she's sitting by her window, her laptop closed, her iconic view of New York glowing behind her. But this time she isn't writing. She's just sitting, barefoot, robe on, hair undone. It's not the Carrie we're used to. No high heels, no witty voiceover, no glamorous outfit. And that's exactly the point. The camera stays still, quiet, while she breathes in the silence. She doesn't look lonely. She looks free. Later, during a walk with her new connection, they stop outside a bookstore. They don't go in. They just look at a book titled The Things We Don't Say. It's a blink and you miss it moment, but it echoes the whole episode. What we don't say often defines our lives more than what we do. For Miranda, water is used as her silent companion. In multiple scenes, she's around water, washing dishes, showering, even just running her fingers under the tap without purpose. It's a clear symbol of emotional cleansing, of needing to wash something away but not knowing what. In one standout scene, she finally wipes the fog off a bathroom mirror after a long shower, only to stare at herself for what feels like minutes. The expression on her face isn't sad, it's unfamiliar. It's as if she's seeing herself for the first time in years. That foggy mirror is more than just steam, it's the blur of her identity. And for the first time, she's clearing it. Charlotte gets her most meaningful symbolic moment during her scene in Lily's room. After their podcast fight, she walks in and sits on the bed, noticing posters of strong, modern women. But instead of judging, she adds one of her own, an old photo of her younger self at a women's march, tucked into Lily's mirror. She doesn't say anything, she just leaves it there. That image, the past meeting the present, says everything. Charlotte is not just a mother trying to catch up with her daughter's world. She's someone who once fought for her own voice too. And now she's passing the torch in her own way. Seema's visual language is all about armor and softness. In her first scene, she's dressed in a gold blazer, hair perfectly pinned, lipstick sharp, the image of power. But by the episode's end, after her confrontation at dinner, she's seen barefoot in her apartment, wearing no makeup, hair down, watching rain fall outside her floor-to-ceiling windows. It's the first time we've seen her this bare. That contrast, the woman who entered the episode like a fortress and ends it like an open book, visually speaks volumes. Her apartment, once lit by luxury, now glows in soft, rainy blues. A color shift that reflects the gentle change in her spirit. And then there's Todd Wexley. Her grief is shown without a single word in one of the most poetic scenes of the episode. She attends a baby shower dressed in white, surrounded by balloons and laughter. But the camera focuses only on her hands. They're shaking slightly as she holds a small baby rattle she brought as a gift. As the others play baby-themed games, Lisa quietly walks outside. There's a swing hanging from a tree, unused. She sits on it gently, lets it sway back and forth. The swing doesn't rise high. It barely moves, but it mirrors her state, suspended between past and present, between motherhood lost and the life she's still building. Later, her red dress at the charity event isn't just fashion, it's her claiming space again, loudly, boldly. It's grief turning into power. The music in this episode also acts as a silent character. Gone are the upbeat saxophone intros. Instead, we get soft piano, subtle violins, and ambient soundscapes that blend with the city's heartbeat. In moments of silence, the hum of a subway, the beep of a crosswalk, or the ticking of a wall clock takes over, making you feel the pressure of time, of moments passing unspoken. The lighting choices are deliberate too. Most scenes are dimly lit, giving a sense of privacy, as if we're peeking into the character's most intimate thoughts. Even New York feels slower, less loud. It's not a city buzzing with energy, it's a city holding its breath. And when a spotlight is used, like during Carrie's long walk at night or Miranda's moment in front of the mirror, it isolates the character, making them feel small in a big world, but also uniquely present. This episode doesn't try to be loud, its power lies in restraint. Every symbol, every folded dress, untouched wine glass, flickering candle, and unread text is used with care. Because in the world of, and just like that, the things that are better than sex can't be said. They must be felt, seen, and quietly understood.